he'd come out with his little like acoustic guitar, and I had like, my Les Paul, I had my Gibson SG, and then I'd like pass him my guitar to be like, can you show me how to play this Metallica thing? And there's this guy who's so buttoned up, would just be like shredding so hard,
This podcast is all about the both of you. I want to know your journey in music. I know you've met at USC, and we can talk about starting your band and how you guys got to where you are now.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Awesome.
USC, we Luke can kind of say, because he actually sat next to me. That's the story I tell. Like he was trying to tag along.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it's true.
I was gonna say, let's start at the beginning. Luke, where were you born and raised? Are you from LA?
No, I'm from a small town outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay.
So very different than LA.
Sure.
And yeah, I mean, I grew up there, and I think, like any musician, when you grow up in like a town like that was all kind of buzz cuts and football, it was like, I gotta get out, I gotta get to LA or
Buzz
New York.
cuts.
And you know what I mean? It was like everyone like cared about the Packers more than life itself, which is our football team. And like, yeah, that's cool, but I was like really into Aerosmith and AC/DC, which was very like not of that type of town.
Sure.
So yeah, we had like one big music festival every year and like 2 or 3 venues. And I was like the kid that I would get good grades, so my parents would let me go and listen to concerts all week long. And I just had this like drive, because every time they would get on the stage, they'd be like, hey, we're coming all the way from LA, or we're all the way from New York. And I'm like, well, I gotta be there. That seems like the spot, man. Yeah. So then I think I was always doing like local little bands, but I wanted to get to one of the cities, and then I was applying at NYU for college and USC, and I toured both of them. And I remember asking the guys at USC, hey man, why USC? And they're like, well, it's LA and there's no winters. And I was like, oh man, well, I am sick of shoveling snow. So yeah, let's skip New York. Let's do LA. Yeah. So then I went to USC, and then the first day of class, actually, in very typical fashion of me, even with the Zoom call, I was running late, and there was like 2 open seats left in the whole class. And one was next to this girl who I met at orientation, who was like a very nice person, but a lot of talking. And I was very tired.
Okay.
You know what? I think I'm going to opt for the other open seat. And it was this dude with long hair. I'm like, he's got long hair. I got long hair. I bet he's cool. And I was super wrong, but that's how I met Gus.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, I want to back up real quick, if you don't mind. How did you get into music?
Oh yeah. How did I get into music? Honestly, I had a concussion from playing basketball. And again, in like a sports town, that was like a total bummer. I couldn't play on the basketball team. Woohoo. And I was watching skateboard videos because I loved skateboarding. And it was a video called Minefield by Alien Workshop.
Okay.
And there was an Elliott Smith song on there. And I remember it coming on, and it was the first time in my life I had ever watched something and not even seen it. And I was just listening to the music, and I was like, what is this song, man? And it was called Coast to Coast by Elliott Smith. And it was at the time where we had like one family computer, and I'm like, Mom, I need the computer, and get on the computer, and I found this guy, Elliott Smith, and downloaded iTunes for the first time, and like had to convince my parents that like the computer wasn't going to steal our credit card information, which took like a week.
Sure.
I think, if I'm being honest, I think my mom had to go to Walgreens and get one of the iTunes gift cards because she didn't trust the credit card.
Oh,
thing.
putting her card in. Dude, I think my dad's still like that, man.
Yeah. Oh, it's actually really funny because my mom still has my iTunes account, and I always like get little receipts for 99 cents of our songs that my mom still buys. She's like the only person that buys our songs on iTunes. Yeah. Anyways, but I got the Elliott Smith album from A Basement on a Hill, and then
I love that record.
Yeah, man, dude, that changed my life. And I remember listening to the whole thing that first night, like thinking this was the greatest thing that ever happened. I just downloaded all his stuff. And that was really the trigger for me. And then I went and got a guitar, and I was like, I have to do this, because I had never seen someone do like pain so beautifully. You know, it was like, it wasn't woe is me. It was like, this is just how I am. And I thought that was like, man, that's really something cool. Just, yeah. So it was really Elliott Smith, I think, that got me into music, for being honest.
Wow. And the skateboarding video, because that,
Yeah.
personally, I mean, I grew up in San Diego, Southern California, so skateboarding was a huge thing in my life as well. And that's how I got introduced to so many bands, Misfits and, you know, Descendants and Iron Maiden and some of these bands, just because they would fit in the skate video. I'd watch like a Toy Machine video, and I'm like, oh my God, like, who is this? And you'd watch the credits and try to find the bands. I think that's so cool that
that was totally it, man. And you just hit the nail on the head there, going into that cultures, because Elliott Smith's first band was Heat Miser. And obviously when you're like, you know, 13 and get a guitar, you want to start playing the like fastest, heaviest stuff you can. Sure. And then I just went on the deep dive, because my dad was a rock and roller too. And so like, he was like, oh man, you play the guitar now? Like you got to hear this, you know, this Slayer record, you got to hear it. And
rad.
Like, then it like, you know, it became like Metallica and all this stuff. And so I was going in that direction. And then obviously at the same time in the Midwest, all of the pop punk guys were coming up really hard. You know, it was like major Fall Out Boy, major Panic, you know, and all those like subsets of Warped Tour. So then I kind of like fell into that whole thing too. And that was when I was old enough to start having bands, because that was just the coolest thing, man. We had the side swooped hair, you know,
of course,
man. It was like red. I had red and black, like checkered jeans that I thought were so cool.
That's rad.
There was this girl, her name was Maddie Shale, and I was like dating her when I was like 13, you know. And I came to school in my red checkered pants, and dude, I remember her friends like going up to her apologizing, like, I'm so sorry Luke is dressed like this. That must be embarrassing. And I remember being so like, yeah, man, well, screw you, you know, because I didn't swear at that time, because I was a really good kid. But
that's awesome.
Like, you know, frick off, man. These are my pants.
Sure. Yeah. Well, did you go to USC for music? Is that, well, you said you wanted to go to NYU or USC. So
I definitely didn't go for fashion, clearly, but yeah, I did go. I did go for music, the music industry program.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I ended up being a screenwriting major along the way.
Wow. Yeah, because I know you're obviously into acting as well, but I want to focus on your music.
And that you know, that the acting thing wasn't even the reason I did the screenwriting thing. Honestly, when I was growing up, I thought I was going to be an author. Even the whole time I was making music, I thought, like, you know, again, Elliott Smith, the reason I loved him was his lyrics, you know, and the reason I liked Pete Wentz so much was because of his lyrics. And like, I thought, dude, like, these guys are awesome authors. And I was reading books like crazy, and I was like, I'm going to be an author when I grow up. And I get to do that with songwriting. But anyways, going back to the screenwriting thing, it was like across the street from the music school. And I took like a little intro to screenwriting class. And I was like, dude, this is basically being an author. And, you know, I can do it as a major. So yeah, that was really good. Learned a lot about storytelling. And I think a lot of musicians are kind of sleeping on the concept of like, you can read a script and basically take the script and write like 7 songs off of scenes. Cause you know, there's nothing more human than that. And then you don't have to go and live like 6 or 7 lives. You can just read about someone else's.
Yeah, you can, a lot of inspiration. I feel like people pull from film and TV and movies and stuff. Totally. For sure.
I was listening to a podcast the other day. I can't remember who exactly it was. Oh, it was I think it was like the guitarist from the band Franz Ferdinand.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
He was saying that like in music, a lot of people frown on people that write songs not from a personal perspective. Like the consensus is, you know, songs are more hard hitting if they're personal to you, and like that's how you write the best songs. But he was saying if you look at all other art forms, actually they don't do that. You know, think about acting, they're always playing another part. Think about, you know, art, it's not a manifestation of themselves, it's always someone else. You know, photography, it's always someone else. Like every single other art form is essentially the opposite, and you're always creating a life that's outside of yourself.
That's so
that's
fascinating.
amazing,
I've
man.
never ever thought of that. That's so fascinating.
That's so true. That's super well
Interesting,
said.
isn't it?
I think it's true too, because like I even had this. How many times have you like listened to a song that's like very specific? I'm a big country music fan too, and
Mhm.
my favorite person on planet Earth is Sam Hunt,
Okay.
which I'm probably going to mention like 100 times throughout this.
Great storyteller.
Because every time I open my mouth for more than 10 minutes, like it's gonna go to Sam Hunt somehow. You know, like someone's like, "Oh man, this is a really nice place to live," and I'm like, "Yeah, but do you know that Sam Hunt actually lives in the South?"
He also owns a house.
Yeah, right, dude. Yeah, is that a new car? Yes. Sam Hunt also has his driver's license. He's 31 years of age, but it just got taken away because he had a DUI, which is a bummer. Anyways, back to so anyways, I was listening to his songs and I'm like, man, I wonder if this is even true. And then I'm like, it doesn't even matter, because I think he's so specific about everything, and like Gus is saying, people want it if it's authentic, but I feel like as long as it's specific, it's pretty good.
Mhm.
You know, and I think that's like why when you write songs, you can definitely watch movies, because you really get like an hour and a half of like very intricate dialogue or intricate character backstory, and then you can just be that person for 3 minutes, and as long as you like are any sort of an empathetic person, you can relate to them, and then you know the song becomes yours if it's
Mhm.
not your experience.
Sure. I mean, it
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense too, because people gravitate to certain film and movies
Oh
because
yeah,
it is personal to them too, you know? And
totally,
so if
man.
they're writing something that's personal to them, maybe it's not their exact story, but it's something that they can also relate to. So they're sharing it in their
Right.
music.
Right. And all like the creative geniuses, think about like, you know, even like Walt Disney and stuff, all the most successful stuff's got nothing to do with him. It's a whole parallel universe that you can throw yourself into.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You just
that's
got to
so
find the
fascinating.
thread. And I think that's why I always like when you ask people like, what's your favorite kind of music? And they always go, everything. I like everything. And I used to be like, that's a cop out answer. But then now I'm starting to think like, honestly, that's kind of the best answer, because that means like they're again empathetic, or they relate to everything. You know, if you can listen to rock and roll music in the same day that you listen to, you know, a ballad or pop music or country, it's like, hey man, like, you know, maybe you're not from the South, but you love this, or maybe you know you're not like a aggressive, angry person today, but you still relate to someone who is. Like, I don't know, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's even seen more so nowadays with like festival lineups. Like before,
Oh
it's
yeah, man.
cool. You can like Beyonce and Tame Impala. It's cool. You know what I mean? Like,
You would be kind of a
Yeah.
creep if you didn't like those two. You know?
but you know what I mean? Like, I guess that's kind of a broad
Yeah.
answer. But like, before it was like, oh, I'm only going to listen to these bands, and that's what I like. I like this pop punk scene, or it's like now you can like, you know, At the Drive-In and
Oh, so
whoever
good.
else. You know,
Dude, at
Yeah.
the drive-in, man. Oh my gosh. How good is that?
amazing. It's yeah. Words
Man,
can't describe how great those guys are, really.
we could go for a whole nother hour on them.
Yeah, totally. Well,
Jeez.
Gus, let's hear your story, man. Where were you born and raised?
Oh, I haven't got as interesting story as Luke. So I was England. I went to school in England, and then essentially got to 18 years old and had to decide between golf and music. I'd kind of done those both parallel all my life.
Mhm.
And I took a year out. I came to LA, and I kind of fell in love with music over here. And I was going to go to USC actually, more with like a very golf focused. I was going to be, I think I was going to be a walk on the team, and I was
Really?
going to do golf. And then I literally had a complete change of plans, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna do music. And I literally transferred. I sent in like a song, because I used to sing jazz back in England with like big band and kind of old school, more classical feeling records. And basically did that and sent it in, and I got into the music school. And then, like Luke said, first day of class, this guy in board shorts with long hair from Wisconsin sits next to me. I'm like, what the hell have I signed up for?
It's
I've
the
never
weirdest fashion choice again.
yeah, I knew no one. And I was meeting this guy, like, where is this guy from? Is he from Mars? Like, I have no idea where this guy's from.
Yeah. It was like this
like, yeah.
weird, like homeless surfer phase of life, right? Only wore these like really horrible, like slide flip flops and these
Yeah.
neon green board shorts and like a white Calvin Klein undershirt. I don't know what it was like a weird phase when I moved from Wisconsin. I'm like, I'm only gonna wear what I think is a surfer. So stupid.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably used to wearing more like, winter clothes. It's like, well,
Yeah,
I'm in LA. I can wear flip flops and shorts and a t-shirt every day. You know what I
dude.
mean?
That
Yeah.
thank you for covering up for me. I think it was just a complete stupid decision, but stupidity at its finest.
Well,
Uh,
how'd you get into music there, guys? Like, what was the
yeah,
first instrument you picked up?
and then basically, so like I wanted to be a producer. So on my year out, I actually did some production work, and kind of got in the scene a little bit in LA, doing a few projects here and there. And then when I met Luke, like we both basically said our favorite artist at the same time at the time in the dance space, was Avicii. And
The best.
yeah, and
Was it like a Step
we were
Brothers moment? You're like, Avicii. We
Yes.
just become best friends.
It was that. I think almost that was kind of the exact
1, 2,
sentence.
3. Yeah, exactly. But no, and then literally we went literally that day and we're like, all right, let's make a dance tune. Then we made a couple dance tunes, kept going. Then we managed to book some gigs. We played the Frats at USC.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah, we did that whole thing, and had sort of through parties and DJ'd them. And then we managed to get some gigs kind of around the place. We went and opened up for like Garrick's and Cascade and
Oh, wow.
and people.
So you're getting
and
huge gigs.
Yeah, it was opening though. So it was like,
Still,
what I mean?
to be on the bill with Cascade.
Yeah.
Just playing
Cascade.
stadiums now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it was crazy, not gonna lie. But then so we did that, and we did that for a bit, and we just basically like we're both classically trained musicians, and we were just focusing on production. We were like, hang on, like what if we put some real music in here, and what if we put some real guitars in here and pianos? And Luke was trained on flamenco guitar, so we put some of that in there, and like then I started singing on it, and we basically just evolved from the DJ thing into just being self-sufficient with our records. And that's the one thing that we love to do, is like basically keep everything in house.
Mhm.
Now we do write songs with other people, but at the same time, I can produce it, Luke can write it, and we can do it all, and we can turn songs around in a day. Do you know what I mean? And that we love that.
Yeah, you don't depend on anybody at that point.
Exactly.
I mean, you can do it yourself. That's fascinating. Yeah. You're both classically trained. I didn't realize that. What was the first instrument you learned, guys?
Oh, guitar.
Okay.
Guitar, and then I fell completely in love with drums for like 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you take a bunch of lessons? Like
yeah,
tell me about that a bit. Okay.
It's one of those things where, when you're younger and a parent forces you to do some sort of lessons, whether it's swim lessons or fucking piano lessons. Yeah. And at the time I was like, no, like, please, it's so boring. It's classical, blah, blah, blah. And now I'm looking back, I'm like, hey, thanks so much for that. That was really useful, actually.
Right.
But it was yeah, mainly like jazzy, kind of slightly alternative. Like I would go to my teachers and be like, oh, can I play this song? Can I play this song? And they'd teach me that song. And that's kind of how I fell in love with it. I was like playing like kind of like playing like favorite Beatles song or whatever. Obviously nowhere near sounding as good, but like slowly you get into it and you're like, all right, this is fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so you're classically trained as well, Luke. What was the first instrument you learned? I mean, flamenco guitar. That's pretty.
Yeah, man,
pretty difficult.
Flamenco.
I mean, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I lucked out. I had the coolest teacher who's still in Milwaukee. His name's Jason Barrett, but he was like this awesome classical guitarist. And my parents were like, hey, because I was playing guitar like crazy, and I'm like, please, like, let me take lessons. And we went to this like place in downtown Milwaukee. It was like a rock and roll guitar teacher. And the guy was like smoking cigarettes or like whatever else he was smoking at the time. And like, I was like a 12-year-old kid, and my mom came with me, and my mom's like the sweetest Midwestern woman. It's like, it's like,
yeah,
like Megadeth poster on the wall, and like, like, I don't know, like a pinup girl riding like an atomic bomb poster, I mean, all that, like,
sure, of course.
My mom's like, and he probably like cussing like a sailor, but I remember like leaving. I was like, yeah, we're not going to continue to pay for this. She's like, so I had to find like an approved person. And I thought flamenco guitar was really cool because they were playing fingerstyle, which, again, Elliott Smith was like a master of the right hand on the guitar. And I was like, well, okay. And he was a really cool teacher because we would do flamenco style, finger style, nylon string stuff, but we do Metallica, and
Wow.
we do all like rock and roll licks, and we did like a lot of, Slash and Dream Theater, and like, really good guitar players. And yeah, man. So I was really fortunate for that, because then I loved doing it. And like my guitar teacher would be like, yeah, I play guitar for 8 hours a day. And I remember thinking like, how in the world do you play guitar for 8 hours a day? And now like with these sessions for like 10, 12 hours. But he really got me practicing. I mean, I was playing 2-3 hours a day in high school, because he was playing 8. So I said, well, I gotta do something. So I'm really thankful for him, because I think without that, I don't think I would have like stuck to it.
Wow, I know that's one thing with guitar. I learned like power chords. I never had the finger picking down. I watch people that do that. I'm like so jealous. I'm like, oh yeah, man, I wish I could do that.
And
power chords are the best though.
Power chords are great, and it's funny too, because like he's from a conservatory, so he had like longer hair, but it was like slicked back, and he always had his like shirt buttoned up and a tie, and like drink his little fancy water, and then he'd come out with his little like acoustic guitar, and I had like, my Les Paul, I had my Gibson SG, and then I'd like pass him my guitar to be like, can you show me how to play this Metallica thing? And there's this guy who's so buttoned up, would just be like shredding so hard,
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah, dude. Man, God bless those guys who go to music school for like 8 years and get like a doctorate in guitar. Are you kidding me? It's just so much work. Good for them.
That's awesome. So tell me, so Voila starts as what? You guys were just throwing parties, or this wasn't the band yet when you were doing the DJ, more electronic dance stuff?
We had a lot of different names.
Okay.
What do we start as, Gus?
Too many names. Too many names. Luke
we started as we played this like pool party, man. And we were like, dude, this is going to be the craziest exposure. This is in downtown LA. Like, there are going to be a ton of kids. Like, if we don't have a name together, dude, we're missing out on a huge opportunity. There's like maybe like, I don't know, 18 kids there, but we decided on Goldilocks because we both had long blonde hair, which is so repulsive that I'm saying that on a recorded thing.
Yeah, we had that. We had Symphony.
Symphony was great.
We had Captain and Mamba. We had I don't even and they're all like old SoundCloud accounts. So like every now and then when I go on SoundCloud to log in and it goes like on the list down, I get all the names because they're all saved, bro.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was like we're picking the last name, and it was between Voila and like I don't know, Children of Samson, or like something ridiculous. King Compass was, I think.
King Compass. That was
one of Gus's choices, and I said, dude, I would rather die than be King Compass. So we went with Voila.
It's Voila. I was calling it. Yeah. What did I say? Voila, because I thought it was like a French name.
Yeah, it is. So it's a French word, like voila. But it basically means there you are. It's like a literal translation, and we thought that was cool because, part of good music is when someone listens to it, they go, oh, there I am. So there you are. We want to be relatable. And
I love it.
So we love magic, growing up. So
voila. Okay. Voila. Yeah, I was saying voila, but it's voila.
Mate, anything goes, honestly.
That's okay.
We'll take anything.
So I like voila better than my my pronunciation.
Some of my
now it all makes sense. It's like, oh, I've heard somebody say voila before, not voila.
Yeah. Some of my closest friends who like will probably stand in my wedding still don't know how to pronounce it, so don't even sweat.
Okay, right on. We'll say, so when it becomes Voila and you start writing a record, I mean, last year you put out Long Story Short, right? Is that the first kind of body of work or songs you were putting out under that name?
Kind of. We put out 2 when we were still in school, kind of finding it out, and then we kind of they got a little bit of traction at school because it became the kind of little bit of a pre-game anthem. We heard it around a little bit on campus and stuff, and that cool. It was quite cool. And that song 100 Second Chance that is now sort of at 1 million. And then the first 2 songs we put out were actually lately in hundreds, and they both quite recently actually crossed 1 million. So that was cool to see because those were literally the first ever.
That's so cool.
And so
when you say when you say like warm up anthems, were like sports teams using them, or like were you hearing them?
Like, oh no,
kids
parties.
taking shots and drinking. Yeah.
Oh, like party anthems. Got it. Well, that's cool. That's just as cool, if not cooler, actually.
And then we put out long story. Then we put out actually one called Deja Vu, which was like experimental, and we had a few different artists on it, and that was really fun because we got to kind of flex our production chops on that. And then long story short is the last one we put out, and now we're in a whole new stream of singles. We're going to put out another 8 probably before the end of the year. So like we are not hanging about, and we just love making tunes, and we would rather just make a hell of a lot of music than like do 25 pieces of content around one song and be like, this is the song, please everyone, this song, oof, leave it for 6 months and then not follow it up. We would just rather be ready to go. And that's kind of where we're at.
Gotcha. Well, okay, so you had the song, in the Netflix show with Stand Tall. Was that something that you guys had out way before, right? And then you just reworked it for the movie?
Exactly.
Yeah, it was actually a really cool like coincidence, but we had written the song. It was actually quite a sentimental song for us, and an important one, and so we put it out, and I had gotten the movie Tall Girl, and then I got the script, and I remember reading it, and the last line of the film was Stand Tall. And that was like the last word. And I was like, whoa, man, like we just put a song out like this. And I remember in the casting process when the producers was like, yeah, man, and we saw you have a band like Viola and and Stan
Voila.
Voila. and Stand Tall. That was one of your songs. Like that was really cool. That was like a huge sign for us, the universe. I'm like, yeah, awesome. So then we got on set, and I was, getting into like the material again, and I was like, man, this song actually fits this scene really well. So I told Gus, man, like we should slightly rewrite this and pitch it for the film. How cool would that be? And we did it, and I asked my co-star Ava Michelle, who's an awesome singer too, and I was like, hey, do you want to do this with us and get it in the film? And so we recorded her and rewrote it, and and so now both versions exist. The like before Tall Girl, which is a little more, I think, sentimental, and then the Tall Girl version, which is more empowering. And so it's awesome to see a song live and say almost the same thing, but have two completely different, feelings, inspirations.
Yeah, that's incredible. And you guys are working with her on her EP, right?
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
That's good homework. Yeah. We did a few songs with her, and she's awesome. Like a really, really kind-hearted person, and that makes her a good artist. Yeah. And a great
actor.
Cool.
Are you doing any, I'm sure you're working with other people, or like, how does that, like, how do you juggle between your band and that? Like, you just kind of help produce for other people while writing for your project?
It's ever since the shutdown, really. We hadn't given it that much focus before the world shut down, but then ever since then, we've just been working a hell of a lot. And the Zoom, because we have always produced our stuff, I feel like producers became a bit more in demand than before, because all these massive touring artists and all these artists managed to get a platform through TikTok, and all these all these blow ups and Netflix shows and all this crazy stuff happening because everyone's at home. Everyone wanted songs made. So we were kind of like, okay, let's book some sessions. We had our day-to-day manager, Sarah, basically reach out to anyone and everyone, and slowly got a bit of traction that way. And now we're booked out 5 days a week, like 5-6 days a week.
Wow.
We constantly have sessions now. And it's just cool to be able to just, make records for people. And, it's really exciting being able to have like a big catalog. We probably got, 150 to 200 songs that we've built up that are now slowly being started to pitch out. And, we've got a few really exciting things coming. We've got a few projects with a couple guys in Nashville, actually.
Cool.
and then, you know, a bunch of pop stuff, and it's really fun, man. And some dance music too. That's the great thing. Like, we're allowed to go back to the dance music. Do you know what I mean? Like, we can then write some dance records for these dance guys, and then those can live a life. And that feels amazing too, because that energy of writing dance music still is just incredible.
Yeah, go back to kind of your roots and how you guys kind of started together.
Exactly, mate. By the way, I just have to say it, that t-shirt, the MTV t-shirt, is that leopard print in the end?
Yes, it is leopard print.
Mate, that is superb.
Oh,
Gus,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Gus
I love
loves
that. I'm gonna have
leopard
to try
print.
and find one of those.
I will send you a link to it.
Oh, please.
I
Leopard
will.
print, mate.
Gus has like three awesome leopard print shirts that he loves to wear, and we actually did a
not that awesome though. Not that awesome.
not nearly as cool. And we did like a spoof Planet Earth little clip one time of Gus running around in his leopard print shirts, narrated him like he was a leopard. Sounds stupid when you say it.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, kind of got to be there. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, where were you guys when this whole pandemic hit? Was that a pandemic project, or like how did that affect you? I mean, with the music.
Luke, you want to take it?
Yeah, I would love to. It's kind of the perfect timing, honestly. We had started making some like more rock and roll music, and we're kind of just talking about the idea of kind of being instead of a pop band that sounds rocky, a rock band that sounds poppy. And we're like, all right, let's go for the rock thing now. And we're at the time starting to write some tunes for it, and then the world shut down, which was kind of perfect because, you know, being like locked up and stuck with your thoughts and your feelings, you know, was a really good time for writing. Honestly, I think it was the pandemic, while obviously remarkably tragic for a lot of people who were affected by it, was really great for artists who had projects they wanted to get done. And we cranked them out. And, you know, from a socially distanced perspective, you know, I'd cut guitar in the bathroom and send it over to Gus, and then he would work on stuff. And I look back on it quite fondly, honestly.
I was going to say the recent song you guys released, Dotted Line, that is definitely a heavier song for you.
Oh yeah, man. Love that track.
It's so good. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of it too, but it's definitely got a heavier sound than the rest of the stuff I've heard from you.
Yeah. But what it is, it's like, you know, the interesting is, right, is Stand Tall was like a really emotional moment for both of us. Like we were both not in a great place, to be honest with you. And so it felt like a slow song. It wasn't really a thought out process of, oh, this doesn't really sound like something we're going to want to live with in a couple of years. But that's kind of how music is. I feel like you don't want to be too methodical and like too restricted, be like, oh, we can't put this out, we can't do this. Because that was, you know, a really successful moment for us. You know, it charted top 25 in the world on Shazam for like 2 months. It was crazy. But the interesting thing is our first ever song we put out, like I said, lately, is a rock song. And like we've always had these kind of low-key rock songs in our records, in our EPs, but we've always given the poppier stuff more push. You know, like this is the single, it's pop. This is the thing, now it's pop. And always with our live shows, we've always been like, all right, like we kind of got to think it out cleverly. We got to be kind of sitting still, and you know, we got to be able to play really quietly and for a more low-key audience where people are sitting down and stuff. And now Luke and I look at each other and we're like, listen, what do we want to do? Like the energy when we were doing dance music was the most crazy thing ever. We were jumping around the stage, we were throwing ourselves around. It was it felt like animalistic, but in an amazing way. And it just felt natural and not thought out. And this music now, like everything we're making and putting out, feels so just inherent. You know, it doesn't require thought. We just make the records. Luke sends over some guitar, like a bunch of guitar lines. I just scream a vocal over it. And then we have these songs. And it's like, we cannot wait to really perform these out and like actually take it to a level where there's crowds and, you know, the energy's mental and it's kind of unhinged a little bit. And I feel like everyone needs that because everyone's so caught up in their own head because they've been living with themselves for the last 18 months. Like, do you know what I mean? Like we need to lose it. We need to lose it.
Uh-huh.
Super well said, man.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think people are going to lose it once shows are going to be happening, or they are kind of happening now, right? I mean,
Right.
tours are being booked. And I think people, I've said this before on this podcast, that just people are going to start taking shows less for granted. Like if it's Thursday or Tuesday night and
So true.
Voilà's playing, they're going to go because you
That's
never
what
know.
I'm saying.
They might not
That's
have another opportunity. And then for, 18 months again.
That's what I'm saying, Adam. We're going to clip that bit right there. That little bit. That's perfect.
I would love that. It's all yours.
That's ideal, man. Thanks for that.
Yeah. No, but you know what I mean? Like, I do you have stuff planned? Like I did see, I mean, I know there's shows happening and you guys have played some impressive shows. I mean, opened up for the Fray or Kesha or Ex Ambassadors and these big artists. Like, do you have anything coming up?
That's a conversation literally that's happening like today, right? Like right
this
now.
afternoon.
Literally. Yeah. People are booking their tours like you're saying. So we're trying to find a good fit. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Sam Hunt. I told you I'd bring it up again.
He comes back with Sam Hunt.
Yeah.
I would change the whole record to be country if it meant we could go on tour with Sam Hunt. It's not a joke.
Have you met Sam Hunt? I'm hoping you
Dude,
have.
if I met Sam Hunt, I would not be speaking this low. I think I would be permanently like this all the time because I think my bone structure would change completely.
Oh my God.
Either my hair would fall out or would grow really long. I don't know.
That's hilarious.
You would know. You would know if I met Sam Hunt.
Okay.
See it in my aura.
Okay. So you guys are looking for the conversations being had today, or in the near future about shows,
right? We haven't got anything locked in, but it's going to be soon, and we're also actually filming a couple more music videos for songs, so that's going to be cool too. And it's got that kind of live show feel. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So it's kind of, honestly, like it reminds me a little bit of like the old kind of MTV days when Good Charlotte were doing their music videos, and like there's just basically bands on camera, and I love that. I think that's real energy, and it doesn't have to be too planned out, like I'm saying, and that's how our shows are going to be when we do kind of confirm everything and come back and have a schedule again.
I love it. And I hope you come to Nashville. That'd be incredible to see you guys.
Oh, mate, would love to.
Love that.
Yeah, so you guys should make that happen. Let's do it.
One of my favorite cities, man.
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome. Like I said, we just moved here from Southern California, so we're new to it. I haven't really even been out to see shows. We cruised down Broadway a couple times, but
hopefully you've been eating a lot because the food there is
oh my God, dude, I think I've gained 20 pounds.
That sounds right, man.
It's getting a little worrisome, but
welcome to the Midwest, dude.
Sure.
What's your favorite music, man? What sort of stuff you've been listening to for quarantine, getting
pop,
you through?
Dude, I've been way into pop music, to be honest. Like I grew up with punk and pop punk, and the emo scene was what I was huge into, but recently I've just been listening to a lot of like pop like female vocal pop music. I don't know,
Dua Lipa, like Dua Lipa.
Yeah, I mean
Grande,
Dua Lipa, Grande, Halsey is one of my quarantine favorites. Just stuff like that. Just bizarre.
Dude, Halsey's cool, man. I saw her when she was opening up for the Kooks. Remember that band, the Kooks?
Oh, dude, I love the Kooks.
Yeah, dude, we love the Kooks too.
But she opened Naive, up that is a jam.
Yeah, man. And I remember like getting to the show early because I wanted to get a good spot for the Kooks, and there was like Halsey. She came on to play that like Ghost record or whatever, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then like 3 years later, she's like the biggest artist on the planet. So
I know. Yeah,
that's cool. I like when that happens, when you can see someone who's like still like struggling to get there. Yeah.
I know.
I guess not really struggling, but yeah.
But I mean, I did radio for 16 years, and when I was working for a station up in San Francisco is when she put out Badlands and had New Americana was on the air, and she came through and she just had like this long hair and a hoodie on, like she just was so green to the whole thing. And then now you look at her and she's like one of the biggest things on the planet.
Polished. Yeah. Good for her, man. I like when when you see artists like that come from, you know, really cool musical backgrounds. I mean, touring with the Kooks, you know, like she definitely had her whole gig in order. It's great.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, do you guys have an EP coming out, or just doing singles with like, you know, Therapy and Dotted Lines and some of these new songs?
Yeah, I mean, next thing we'll probably have out is a Figure You Out music video. Actually, probably the next thing that we'll put out is where our song that's doing best right now is Figure You Out, and it's off the Long Story Short project, but it's the rockiest one, which is great. And so we'll definitely put that out in the next month or so, probably less than that. And next 2 weeks, we'll see as fast as we can go. But yeah, we have literally 8 singles waiting in the wings to go, and we're kind of playing it by ear. Hopefully we'll have another one out in like 5 weeks or so, I would say.
Amazing, amazing. I love what you guys are doing. Is it going to be more rock, or is it pop?
Rock.
Rock. Okay.
Rocky. Yeah.
Very
All
cool.
rocky from pretty much.
From here on out.
Dude, yeah. And there's a few that are I'm very like anxious for them to be out because they're fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait. And I thank you guys so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Dude, mate, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. I have one more question before I let you guys go.
Please.
Yes. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Luke, want to take it?
I do. I think it kind of goes back to what Gus was saying about the Franz Ferdinand guitarist. I have found that to be a good artist, at least in my opinion, you have to be able to be open to a lot of different things. I think when I was younger, I thought, oh, if I'm going to be the best guitarist, musician in the world, like I got to lock myself in a room and play guitar for 15 hours a day. While, you know, practice is really good, I found I've become a better artist by dabbling in the acting, by dabbling in even drawing, writing, short stories, children's books, songs. Because I think the way that your mind works is when you put all this stress on coming up with like the greatest song you're ever going to write, it's never going to happen. I think it usually comes from, you know, being stuck in traffic on your way to something else. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's a great idea. I think my favorite songs I've written for Voila, I've had to scribble on the back of like things in my car. I think try not to force yourself into writing that hit. I think just be creative all the time. You know, I have like a little drum set here. I don't really play the drums, but I like to just do it, to do something different, to like cleanse my mind. Or I'll read a book that I normally wouldn't read. It's like this concept of being an alien. You know, I go to the grocery store and look at the magazines and I'm like, oh, well, I normally would get a music magazine, but like, let's get a knitting patterns magazine and let's just do something completely different and like kind of creative and like try something that I might suck at. But I think just working the creative part of your brain leads you to the coolest stuff. And the more artists that I talk to, it's like every time I hear the songwriting process, it's always like, oh yeah, man, well, actually, like back to Sam Hunt. Oh yeah, man. Well, I was like playing football and then I got like hurt and then I was just like painting and I was like, oh yeah, well, maybe I should write some songs. Like it just, I don't know. I think when people ask for advice, they like, it's always something like regimented. I think you just kind of be creative as much as you can and stuff that you don't normally do. And the mind, man, is so powerful. You start coming up with stuff. Watch shows you wouldn't normally watch. It's pretty cool, man.
I also
brain unlocks it.
For me, it's a question of don't internalize externalities. Like the amount of opinions you hear in the music world is unbelievable. So, you know, it's great to listen to people and it's great to take on opinions and stuff, but don't internalize it. So if you keep doing what you're doing, you just don't stop. There's the key. Like you can have people on your team, you can have opinions and all this, but just don't stop the train. Do you know what I mean? Like someone's going to say, all right, let's wait 6 months. Don't wait 6 months. Keep putting out music. Keep moving stuff forward. Because if you don't stop, then you'll succeed in the end. Because there's the key right there. That's what I think.
I love that.
You know, I have one more thing to add to that.
Please.
This is, I think, is better advice than whatever I was trying to say before. Work with your friends, man. Genuinely, because any sort of like artist creative space, you're dealing with your dreams and like putting your soul out there. And it's so easy to get taken advantage of, and for people to manipulate that, because it's unlike, you know, working in, I don't know, like finance, I guess, where it's very black and white. You know, someone can promise you the world and you're gonna believe them. So you have to work with your friends and people you love and trust, and people who will treat your art as you, and they don't want you to get hurt. So they help you to get there. That is so important in this kind of industry. Just work with people you love and respect, because you know, you could work with the best instrumentalists in the world, and if you don't have a friendship, you know, it's going to end poorly. Work
I
with
love that.
people you trust and love, for sure.
Bringing it backward.